So I think my Lotus Elise looks absolutely great, but I'm really not a fan of this silver badging here when everywhere else on the car is orange and black. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to show you how in this video. And you don't need too much. You need some masking, which is what this and the paper and the tape is for. We need to clean it up first, and then we're going to apply some Plastidip and take it off using toothpicks. Plastidip is a spray-on, rubberized, flexible, non-slip rubber coating which you can apply to pretty much anything, especially complex shapes. It comes in a range of colours, and if you don't like it you can just peel it off. So the first step is to thoroughly clean the area, and that means the area around the badge itself, the sides of the badge, basically everywhere where the Plastidip is going to touch, and then leave it to dry. Now, although you can just peel off excess Plastidip, that's a bit of a pain, so you do want to mask it out, and also try and use rectangles because that makes it easier to start peeling off the Plastidip later on. Make sure you use proper masking tape so it's easy to remove. Leave a little bit of space around each badge, and make sure the masking tape is pressed down firmly to minimise the chances of overspray you're just going to have to clean up later on. So here's the can of Plastidip. Now we've got to shake it for a full minute before we use it. So we'll start that. Okay, that's done. Now we can apply the first coat. So we do that not spraying 90 degrees on, but at an angle, so that we get the black Plastidip around and inside each of these little corners here. Okay, that's the first coat done, and we'll give it half an hour, then apply the second coat. So it's been over half an hour. I've just shaken the can again, and it's time for the second coat. So this isn't really a job for the impatient. You've just got to take your time and gently apply those coats. You can see there that this badge has got quite a lot of small detail around it, so it's taking a while. So I just need a few more coats to get around it, but it's slowly turning blacker and blacker. So I gave it a generous time between different coats, and by the end of the third coat it's really starting to turn nicely black, so I just gave it one more coat to make four. May as well, and also the more Plastidip you put on, the easier it is to take off, because it sort of becomes easier to get hold of and pull off, as opposed to just a very thin layer. Now comes the fun part, the removal of the mask and the drop sheet, and then we can get to work taking out the detailed Plastidip to reveal the badges in all their black glory. So we've got the drop sheet off and most of the masking removed. Now it's time for the detailed work. A little bit of overspray there, but that's so easy to fix. You just basically take it off as you would any form of little bit of dirt on the car, no problem at all. Okay, now we get to the fun bit, and this is where having those square edges and the tape is really helpful. I've sped the video up here. You can also use that toothpick just to break away the Plastidip right at the edges, and it's just a question of pulling it up, and you'll find it actually breaks quite nicely at exactly the point where you need it to, where it's had a sharp change of direction. So you work all the way through that, and the badge is done. If you do make a mistake, well, you just got to mask it up and just redo it again till you get it right. It's definitely worth practicing on something like a similar object before you do your car, or whatever it is you really want to get done. It is it's not difficult, but it is a bit of a skill, and it would be a pain just to have to go back and redo it all again. But at least you can do it all again. If you do make a mistake, it's not tragic, it's just going to take you more time. This badge was the hardest because it's got the smaller, tiny little areas in there. I'm not totally happy with the result. A pure black badge would be better, but it's good enough unless you look really close. All done, and it's best just to give it a few hours to cure before you take the car out or start to wash it. So I'm really not a fan of chrome badging, so I changed the badge on the 86 at the back and the front to be black, and also on the side that's a few years old now. And on the Ranger, did that, that's 7 years old, could do with a bit of a refresh now. Also, when the car's vinyl wrap, changed the sills from orange, so silver, to black, just to make it look a bit better, and that's what it looked like when I was doing the job. Didn't mask up the entire car, and that's what it looks like now. I like the fact it gives a little bit of extra protection as well as change the colour. So to summarise, Plastidip is a cheap and easy way to change the colour of pretty much anything, particularly complex objects which you can't necessarily easily remove from the car. And the good news is it does provide a measure of protection of the object that you're covering, and if you don't like it, later on you can just simply remove it and then replace it with another colour or just take it back to stock. On the downside, it's not a 5-minute process, and you do need somewhere to apply a Plasti-dip, so a working area, and it's not as good a job as, let's say, if I just replaced this badge with a black version. It won't look ever quite as good. But overall, it's a pretty useful thing to have for the car enthusiast in case you want to change colour or just protect something or just have a bit of fun. Thanks for watching. Any questions, comments or improvements, please drop them in the comments. Thank you.